Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about anime, and then I'm going to be diving into some of my current training, and then followed by that, I'm A for the day. Let's get started. So, so kind of diving, I gave. So first of all, I haven't watched today's episode yet. I'm talking about last week's episode. I'm talking about episode 4, and I give it an 8.5 out of 10. This is the episode where they're kind of going around the cleaner HQ. I really liked kind of getting like the little like visual of all of like the other cleaners we don't get to see kind of like popping in. I thought that was really interesting that they give us just that like little sneak peek where they open the door and you see all of the cleaners are waiting there to meet him. And then he just closes the door. He's like, we'll keep him waiting a little bit longer. So that was a really fun intro. Um, I liked some of the visual on some of the other cleaners we're going to get kind of introduced to. It was funny that the boss just wasn't there. And then, oh my goodness, I forget the character's name, but the girl that uses the scissors, she was really, really fun. I really enjoyed that she's like essentially like a hairdresser. Her attachment to her item is to her scissors, and she likes to use them like she's like cutting someone's hair, but she's using her gigantic scissors with her foot and like skating around on it, which is super fun. And then just like the big like trash monster almost had like dreadlocks, and she's just like chopping up his dreadlocks, and like all the commentary around that is like very hairdresser related. I think we need more like hairdresser representation in like powers in anime and characters in anime. So that was super fun. I really, really liked that. Um Backpedaling a little bit to when they got to the HQ, the girl that had like the analysis glasses, that was super cool. And it seems like she like analyzed our main character and she saw something, and I'm really wondering what she saw because you saw something over there. I'm really wondering what she saw because she like kind of freaked out about it for a second. So that was cool. And then like the other moment that like really stuck out to me about the episode is when um they're like fighting the different trash monsters, and she one of the like cleaner helpers just yeets a trash monster at her, and then she just like opens up the scissors, and as it hits the scissors she closes the scissors and chops it in half. That was one of the sickest things I've ever seen, and like cool that like they used him that way of like the big strong dude just throws like trash monsters at her, and she just like chops him in half. So that was super fun. So I gave that an 8.5. That was a pretty solid episode. I really, really liked it. Spoiler, probably not my episode of the week. Beast. Currently watching Kaiju number 8 and the Don series. Yes, both Kaiju number 8 and Don are awesome. They're both on my list to talk about here. And yeah, let's actually dive into one of those next. So oh man, I didn't give Kaiju number 8 a ranking, like a rating. I should do that now. So the Don episode that I'm talking about is episode 6 question mark of season 2, maybe. Anyways, it's the episode with the band. Um, I really enjoyed the band. I guess there's some controversy around the song that band played, though. I guess the song that they were like covering for that scene, the like exorcism scene. And spoilers, if you're not caught up on this week's episode of Dawn to Dawn, I'm going to be talking about it a little bit here. But in this week's episode of Dawn to Dawn, there was an exorcism where they were trying to get rid of the evil eye. And it turned out that Gigi did not want to get rid of the evil eye, and they stopped the exorcism. But they were exorcising Gigi with the use of this band that plays music, and it just pulls the demons out, and I think maybe exorcises the demons. That wasn't entirely clear. Maybe the granny was going to exorcise the evil eye after it got pulled out, and maybe it's just the band was pulling it out. I wasn't completely sure. But the song that the band played, I guess that the band that song is from is a big fan of Dawn to Dawn. So they like appreciated it kind of, but I guess they didn't get the rights from Sony to use that song, so there's some controversy. So they might get sued by Sony, and I'm like really interested to see what happens with that, and really nervous. It'd really suck if that like had like lasting implications for Dawn to Dawn. Knock on wood, I hope it won't, but yeah, apparently they didn't get rights to that song, which is just crazy. Like, just get rights to the song. But yes, you're absolutely right, Beast. The band was hilarious. I love the band. It was so fun. It's just a really fun episode. I think there's some like really nice moments, just like showing the found family, because after Gigi decides that he wants to keep the evil eye, it's like now he has to be super careful all the time to like only use hot water. So you have like Okaroon like really looking out for him and around with him all the time, and the other girl has like moved into the house, and her and Momo are sharing a room, and the house is all torn apart and it's cold, and they're all like complaining, and like it's just, I think there's a lot of like really nice like found family moments in that episode that I really enjoyed. So I thought that was super cool. And the way they ended it was really interesting too. Of like Momo takes the job. It did have the vibes. It did have the vibes. Yeah, so I'm really interested to see where that go. I did not give this episode a rating when I watched it, so I'll give it one right now. So I gave the Gachiakata episode an 8.5. To be honest, I like the Gachiakata episode just a little bit more than this Dawn to Dawn episode. So I'm going to give the Dawn to Dawn episode a 8 out of 10 for this week. So that's Dawn to Dawn. Let's talk about 2B Hero X right now. If anybody in chat right now is watching 2B Hero X, let me know. Beast, I think you said you're watching Kaiju number 8 and Dawn to Dawn. If you're not watching 2B Hero X, I strongly recommend watching 2B Hero X. To be honest, other than Takapi's Original Sin, this might be my favorite anime I'm watching right now. And I was supposed to do this live stream yesterday, and I had tech issues yesterday. So the next episode of 2B Hero X came out yesterday. So I'm going to be talking about 2 episodes. The last 2 episodes of 2B Hero X. Because I wrote my notes on last week's episode, and then yesterday's episode I watched. Now, on Threads, I gave yesterday's episode a 10 out of 10. So that's how highly I felt about yesterday's episode. And the weeks before's episode, I gave a 9.5 out of 10. Now, yes. So I'm talking about 2B Hero X right now. 2B Hero X is 100% for sure on Crunchyroll. Dawn to Dawn is on Crunchyroll and Netflix, actually. It's kind of like a combined project of Crunchyroll and Netflix. And then the first anime I talked about, Gachiakata, that is Crunchyroll. So all of this anime is on Crunchyroll or Netflix. There's one anime I'll talk about today that is a High Dive exclusive, but I'm just gonna like briefly touch on it. And that anime is Call of the Night. But everything else is on either Crunchyroll or Netflix, and those are kind of the 2 primary streaming services I use. But yes, so into the 2B Hero X. So first of all, if you've not watched 2B Hero X, the way they're doing it is they're doing character arcs. So every 2 to 6-ish episodes, they switch which character is the main character, and everything kind of like loops together, but in a funky way. So you're following somebody different as the episodes kind of change, right? So first we followed Nice, then we followed Isol, then we followed Lucky Cyan, and then we followed Queen, And then we followed, I think her name is Loli, and then Ghostblade, and now we're on to Little Johnny and Big Johnny. And I love the Johnnies. It's really interesting because I like them right from the start, just because Big Johnny is just a alien cat, and I think is just the cutest thing ever. And I like when they introduce Little Johnny and Big Johnny. Hey, cat, welcome in. I like when they introduce Little Johnny and Big Johnny into Hello on PC. I like when they introduce Little Johnny and Big Johnny in, I believe it's the Lucky Cyan or the Queen segment. And Queen is just like so rough and tough, and like little Johnny's like, "This is my son, Big Johnny," and just presents his cat. And she's like trying to be like all tough and like ignore him, and she's like, and then she's like, "I can't resist the cuteness. The cuteness is too much." By the way, how's my audio, guys? I didn't really have anybody at the start of this stream to check it, so let me know if my audio is okay. I can adjust it up and down on my interface if it's either too loud or too quiet. So a couple arcs have gone by, a few characters have gone by, and we've kind of got like Little Johnny and Big Johnny to be, it's too loud. Okay, let me turn it down just a little bit. I'm pretty loud and boisterous right now. Is that better, Cat? So I feel like it's over a couple times. I could hear it. Okay, let me crank that down a little bit so I'm not peaking. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. I wanted to test it at the start, but I didn't have anybody in here to test it with. Okay, so as the story's kind of gone on, oh, do you think it's your headset actually? Okay. Well, I turned it down a little bit. So if anybody else is in there and the audio sounds too quiet or too loud, let me know while you kind of mess around with that, Cat. And sounds good now. Perfect. Cool. So so as the story's gone on, they've kind of presented like the Johnnies, or like Johnny, as like, I don't know, kind of annoying and bratty, but also kind of just like, you know, how you would expect like a teen kind of talk. He's down with the culture, I guess. It's just been so fun. And now we're finally on to his arc, and we're getting to see his backstory. And it's like, it's super traumatic. He loses his mom, he loses his dad, and all he's really got is Big Johnny, his son. And this arc has just been so phenomenal. And um yeah, and then seeing it all kind of like build up and like tie together, because now we, in this like last episode that just came out yesterday, we had we started with like Queen and Lucky Cyan kind of like heading on a trip and kind of tying them into everything. And then we see Nice, we see Isol, we see all of these different characters like tying together from the entire series, and we see everything like starting to unravel and start to come together. And it's just this really beautiful story where so much is left in mystery, and then it all is just now starting to tie together, and some of these mysteries are starting to be solved. So I'm really excited for Noir Dog is about to be next. And that's going to be really fun. And then we're going to have X to end it all. But I really like the Johnnies. So as a whole, I think this anime has been pretty strong. I think some of the arcs have been stronger than the others, but the Johnnies arc has been one of my favorites. So it's, the last two episodes have got a 9.5 and a 10 out of 10 for me. Let's see. Did I have any other notes? Oh, there was definitely like a fight scene where Big Johnny got rock prisoned, and that was crazy by the Cyclone dude. So, okay. So we've talked about Gachiakata, we've talked about Don to Don, we've talked about To Be Hero X. Let's talk about what I think should be the anime of the year. as of right now, Takabi's Original Sin. So I think there's other anime that could maybe climb past this for me. But as of right now, if the voting came out today for anime of the year, Takabi's Original Sin would have my vote. I think almost every episode was a 9, 9.5, or a 10 out of 10 for me. And I think people agreed. I think, I forget if it's the IMDb or if it's the My Anime List ratings, but this anime is the like only anime that has had like over a 9 out of 10 rating for every episode on one of those two. And it's honestly just so phenomenal. Now, what makes that a little bit easier is the fact that it's only 6 episodes. So it's much easier to get high ratings on every single episode of your entire show if you only have 6 episodes opposed to 12 or 14. So I think that helps it, but I think that also makes it like, well, it's only 6 episodes, right? But I think they are some of the 6 best episodes in anime. Now, trigger warning for anybody that hasn't watched Takabi's Original Sin. It is very dark. It is very, very dark, especially for episodes 1 through 5. And I won't say it gets better, but I think it finds a way to loop in the darkness. I strongly suggest watching it, Kat. Now, that being said, if you don't deal with traumatic stuff super well, I'll put it in the chat for you. Don't worry, I got you here. Takabi's Original Sin. So it's very dark and it can be very triggering, and I will give everybody a trigger warning, and it gives everybody a trigger warning at the start of every episode because it does take things to some pretty dark and crazy places. And that could be hard. That could be really, really hard. But I really like the play on how it kind of addresses the relationship issue of you lagging a bit. That's what I hear. Not really. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to fix the lagging. Hopefully that kind of sorts itself out. There's not really much I could do about that, but yeah, so it really addresses well the idea of stopping trying to fix trauma and kind of accepting trauma and letting people deal on things on their own. That's so weird. I have no clue why it's lagging, but I mean, thank you for letting me know, Kat. Hopefully it kind of sorts itself out. I don't know if it's a Wi-Fi issue or what, but hopefully it kind of solves itself. Anybody else in the chat, if you want to let me know if it's lagging for you as well. Like I said, there's not really much I can do to fix it, but it'd be good to know just for next time if trying to troubleshoot that. So it's a beautiful ending to a very wonderful series in that I think it addresses trauma in one of the best ways, but it also doesn't spell it out for you. It lets you kind of solve things for yourself. So I might go live. I don't know where my phone is, but I might just after you. That's fair. Going live is kind of fun, Kat. But okay. So that's Takabi's Original Sin. I'll leave it there. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I give the series a 10 out of 10. And I think as of right now, it should be anime of the year. There's still a lot of year left to go. So We'll see what happens in the next 4 months. My Hero Academia, the final season's coming out. To Be Hero X is tying together really, really well, and the ending could absolutely flip my opinion of this. But if the voting was today, Takami's Original Sin would be my anime of the year. And I think right now it gives Solo Leveling the best run for the money, the Solo Leveling fanboys. What are people thinking anime of the years? I think right now people are kind of torn on Solo Leveling Season 2 and Takapi's Original Sin. I think the Solo Leveling fanboys are definitely pushing for Solo Leveling to win 2 years in a row. I really, really liked Solo Leveling, don't get me wrong. I wish it had a little bit of a more in-depth story, because that's just a personal preference. I think the animation is phenomenal, the voice acting is phenomenal, and the story, while simple, is good. But yeah, so I think Solo Leveling probably would win it right now if it was to come out today. I think Takabi's Original Sin would be a close second. But I hope Takabi's Original Sin would win, but we'll see what happens. Also, am I lagging for you, Miracle No Whip? Okay, so that's Takabi's Original Sin. So last anime I'm going to kind of in depth here is going to be Kaiju number 8, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a speed round. I'm just talking about like everything else I'm kind of watching, and I'm going to try to just like briefly touch on everything for just like 15 to 30 seconds. I'm going to try to go wide instead of deep for the last section after Kaiju number 8 here, because I wanted to go pretty deep on some of these anime, but I don't want this to just be like an hour and a half of just anime. I want to kind of progress things along as we go. Also, speaking of which, if anybody has any questions about anything that's not related to like the general topic that I'm chatting about here, feel free to drop that. Just a little with the audio, not too bad, where I can't hear you. Perfect. Okay. Glad to hear that the lag isn't too bad for you. Thank you. Might be my camera settings too. I honestly forgot to set my camera down to 1080p, which is like the highest I can stream on. So right now I think the camera is trying to be 4K and the stream is trying to be 1080p. So that might be causing a little bit of a lag. So next time I might just have to remember to adjust that. Okay, let's talk about Kaiju number 8. So I have 2 episodes to talk about here. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate that a ton. So, again, today's live stream was supposed to be yesterday. And what happened after I could not live stream yesterday because I had tech issues? Well, I watched the next episode of Kaiju number 8. Kind of the same as what I did with To Be Hero X. So, I'm going to talk about both episodes here. So, episode 3 of season 2 and episode 4 of season 2. So episode 3 I gave a 9 out of 10, and episode 4 of season 2 I'm going to give a 9.5 out of 10. So outside of Takabi's Original Sin and To Be Hero X, I would say this is probably my favorite thing I've watched this week. So this is number 3. So just to kind of rank things, if people are kind of keeping up or if people are kind of just filtering in, my number 1, Takapi's Original Sin. My number 2, To Be Hero X. My number 3, Kaiju number 8. My number 4, Gacha Yakuda. And my number 5 was Dawn to Dawn for things that I watched this week. So Kaiju number 8 has had some really sick fights the last 2 episodes, but also some really good expose of some backstory. I think there's been some really, really good backstory for Kikaru. Getting to see her mom in episode 3 and what that was like, and then what's happened with her dad in episode 4. So again, I safe to assume everything here is spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, I apologize. I guess maybe mute me for a bit and come back or something like that. But so in episode 4, Kaiju number 9 kills and absorbs Kikuru's dad. And honestly, it was really heartbreaking, but really good. Like, I love heartbreaking stuff. I'm glad you like spoilers. That you're in the right place then. This is spoilers the live stream apparently. So I really like heartbreaking scenes that just like tear me up and make me want to cry. And I think we have this. I'm glad you're also here for it, Kat. Thank you. We get this like really interesting moment where Kikuru's dad has been presented throughout season 1 as this real hard ass. He's really, really hard on Kikuru. And even growing up, he was kind of like more sullen kind of thing. Like that's his character, right? But we get this really beautiful moment between him and the mom when Kikuru is sleeping, and she goes like, "Oh, Kikuru told me today that she wants to join the defense force." She's like, "Well, I'm going to train her myself and I'm going to be super hard on her, which means you have to spoil her." And it's this really interesting dynamic where it's like growing up, she was kind of getting to be the mom and being like the fun mom, but if Kikuru wanted to join the defense force, the roles were going to have to flip, where the mom was going to have to be harder on Kikuru and the dad was going to get to be like the like spoil his daughter dad. But then when the mom dies, he's kind of got to do that for her because she still wants to join the defense force. And the way they viewed it, at least, I don't, I think you could argue whether this is true or not, but the way that they viewed it as parents is that they needed to be hard on her to prepare her for the defense force. And because she dies, he has to do that. And she doesn't really get to have that like easy on her, spoil her, loving, caring parent. And that just makes the father's death so much more beautiful. When he's like, I couldn't be the dad I wanted to be because of my wife's passing, but I want to do this one last thing for you and I want to destroy Kaiju number 9. And then he fails, and then Kaiju number 9 absorbs him and his Kaiju weapon. So, that's not ideal, but it was a very beautiful scene and a very beautiful moment. And I really, really liked that. Mixed among some like really beautiful animation fighting. And then Kaiju number 9 is like a really interesting villain because he's kind of like Cell from Dragon Ball Z, where he's just like sucking people up and absorbing all their powers kind of thing and just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I don't see how they beat him right now. Like I feel like now that he's absorbed Kaiju number 2's power, like he's a pretty crazy villain, and that's gonna be hard to overcome. So. But yeah, definitely cried during Kikuru's mom's death, cried during Kikuru's dad's death. So lots of tears these last 2 episodes. And if an anime can make me cry, it gets a good rating out of me. So yeah, wow, Kat. Again, if you've not watched Kaiju number 8, Kaiju number 8 actually got my vote for anime of the year last year. I know everybody was in the discussion of like, it's free Ren, it's solo leveling, it's free Ren, it's solo leveling, and then like solo leveling ended up winning. I voted for Kaiju number 8. Nobody was even talking about Kaiju number 8. I was like, oh, but I thought it was better than both of those. But speed round. So other things I'm watching or not watching. Call of the Night is a high dive anime that I just recently binge watched all of season 1 for. The season 2 dub is going to start coming out. I prefer the dub over the sub for Call of the Night, so I'm going to start watching it again soon, but I haven't started watching that yet. But Call of the Night is this like really beautiful romance anime, and if you want something outside of the like punchy genre of like shonen that like still is like really intriguing and really engaging, I really, really recommend Call of the Night. It's like my go-to of like anybody asking for like anime recommendations on Threads. I'm like, Call of the Night, Call of the Night, Call of the Night. So Togen Anki is another thing I'm watching. It's pretty good. It reminds me a lot of Naruto, just with better pacing. The blood powers are really interesting. It's not like a super crazy good anime. It's like a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10. Really good. Definitely like under the tier of all the anime I went more in depth on, but it's still a really solid watch. That is on Netflix. Lord of Mysteries. Which one? Cat, Call of the Night, or Togen Anki? I'll give you both. The night. Togen Anki. Boom. So Lord of Mysteries. There's a lot of hype going into the season about Lord of the Mysteries that is going to be like the new next big thing. I guess Solo Leveling fans might have poor review bombed it. I didn't really care about the reviews, but I did watch like the first 2 episodes. Yes, I can't really get into it. I think it's kind of interesting. It's like a 3 or a 4 out of 10 for me. It just didn't intrigue me like I wanted it to. I think other people do really like it, and that's super cool. I think it can be super solid, but it just personally wasn't for me. Lord of Mysteries. Rising of the Shield Heroes kind of had like a historic fall off. I think like season 1 was this like really crazy, like meteoric rise for Rising of the Shield Hero, and I just haven't been feeling the Rising of the Shield Hero love, but I like it enough to keep watching every week. It's like a solid like 5.5 out of 10. It might get better this season, and it's just kind of like a comfort watch for me. Of like I've invested this much into the story, made it this far, that it's something that's like bearable to watch every week, but it's not like jumping off the screen at me every week. Clevitis. Ah, yes, Clevitis is how you say it. Clevitis has been really, really good. I would say it's probably just the ranking above the 5 I kind of went in depth on. Gachiakata, To Be Hero X, Tokyo's Original Sin, Dandadan, and Kaiju number 8. Clevitis has been really good. It's a really fun kind of concept. It's a little bit different. I suggest giving it a watch. People are really, really high on it right now. Maybe a little bit higher than me, but I would give it like a solid 6.5 to 7 out of 10. It's a really fun watch, and I've been enjoying Clevitis. Trigun. I have been watching Trigun. This is kind of a oldie but goodie. I know a lot of people speak really highly on Trigun. I also speak really highly on Trigun. The main character is really fun. He's very shrouded in mystery. Seems like he's got this like big bounty on him. It seems like he's kind of got this darker past, and it's just really intriguing, kind of like diving through that mystery. But he's just like this really fun, solid dude, and always kind of does just like the right good thing, even when you think he's not doing the right good thing. And it's just a very fun story. It's an older anime. I'm excited to kind of like jump through more and kind of get more of that. The other thing I've been watching, kind of anime, kind of not anime. So I've been watching Kakaguri, which is obviously anime, but what got me into watching Kakaguri, and Kakaguri's been out forever. It's like a gambling anime. They go to like a gambling school where the entire like social hierarchy is based off upon gambling. It's weird. It's super weird. What got me into watching it is Netflix just released a live action version called Bet. And it was really good. It's different than Kakaguri, but it was super solid. I watched that, really enjoyed it, and really suggest it. And then I started watching Kakaguri because I just wanted to kind of see the differences. And there's quite a few differences. It's definitely different. It's kind of hard to keep up because some of the characters are changed. Some are definitely like inspired by other characters. The main character is pretty similar, but the rest of the characters are kind of like loosely inspired. It can be a little hard to keep up with like who's who. Other than Mary, I think Mary holds pretty true as well. The main character in Mary. some of the other characters, but they definitely go to a little bit of a darker, weirder, definitely more traditional anime place in the non-live action in Kakaguri. So I've been watching that, and yeah, there's a scene in I think like episode like 3 or 4 where girls playing Russian roulette in a bathroom, and yeah, if you know, you know that scene is. I was like, oh, okay. Um, so, um, anybody has any anime related questions, feel free to kind of drop them in the chat. Again, I'll be kind of doing a little bit of a Q&A thing. I have some like random questions from Instagram I'm going to go over at the end. And I'll also answer any other questions that kind of get jumped in here that aren't like immediately related to what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be kind of moving on to talking about my current training regimen and what I'm doing for that right now. And if you have anime questions, drop them in the chat and I'll kind of do a little bit of a scrollsies upsies and answer those when I am in the Q&A portion. So my training. So for those of you that may not know me super well, I am a power lifter. I like to lift heavy things, and I have a meet coming up in like 6 weeks. So I live in the province of Alberta in Canada, and the provincial squat record in my weight class, 83 kilos, which is about 183 pounds for you freedom unit users. 183-pound weight class, the squat record is 618 pounds. So my goal is to break that squat record on my second attempt and squat 619 pounds. And then I want to squat somewhere in the region of 640 to 650 pounds. So that's my like really big training goal right now, is to break that provincial squat record in the 83 kilo weight class. And then in December, I want to go up a weight class to the 93 kilo weight class, and I want to break that provincial record. And that provincial record is set at 698 pounds, and I would like to squat 700 pounds. So those are the primary goals for Max right now. And, bench is going all right as well. I like to bench 150 kilos, 331 pounds. I'm kind of dealing with a little bit of a shoulder injury right now, so that's holding me back a bit, if I'm being honest. I'm slowly getting healthy from that, so that's a positive, but that is kind of what's going on there. Deadlift is going really good too. I think I'm going to be kind of closer to the 700-pound mark for deadlift. Yes, absolutely. Please ask any and all Death Note questions, and I will, just because I moved past the like anime portion, I'll answer that in the Q&A portion at the end, Cap. But please feel free to drop that in the chat now or at the end if you want, whenever works for you. So that is my current lifting goals and kind of where I'm at. And lifting is going really, really good in regards to that. So just like 6-ish weeks ago, I squatted 568 pounds for 3 repetitions. And that was really fun. That was really good. I enjoyed being able to do that. I'm super happy and pumped about that for sure. And I think that definitely puts me in the range of being able to squat what I want to squat. So training is going really good. Everything's been like really light between now and then. So I'm feeling really good about it. Also, yes, Kat, you do need to watch other anime. But okay. So that's my current training. Now, the next segment of kind of the live stream here is going to be my thoughts on Mega Dragonite. So, if you are a Pokemon fan, please weigh in on your thoughts on Mega Dragonite in the chat. This has been causing so much controversy. Mega Dragonite looks so silly. Why did they make him so silly? Yes, thank you for that question, Miracle. I will definitely I'll dive into that in the Q&A portion. So, Mega Dragonite. So, some context. Dragonite is my favorite Pokemon. If I turn my head here, that's the right finger. There's one Dragonite pop. If I bring my head the other direction, there is. This is hard. My screen is mirrored. I can't figure out my hand. There's the other Dragonite pop. I love Dragonite. Dragonite has been my favorite Pokemon since I was a kid. And when I found out they were bringing Mega Evolutions back, Mega Evolutions are my favorite part of Pokemon. I didn't super vibe with Gigantamaxing. The Z moves were whatever. Mega Evolutions were where it was at. I was so happy they were bringing that back. And then to hear that Dragonite was getting a Mega Evolution, I was over the moon. And then they put wings on his head. Why did they put wings on his head? Let me know if you like the new Mega Dragonite Mega Evolution. Wonder if I can put it on my screen. Images. Okay. What happens if I present? I might break the entire stream here, but I'm going to try to put Mega Dragonite on my screen. Yeah, so this is what Mega Dragonite looks like. So why? Okay, I'll be a little bit fair here. I do like the longer tail with the jewel at the end. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. There's my nice thing about Mega Dragonite. I wish they ran with that. I wish they made his like regular wings way bigger, and I wish they changed his color to like a dark blue. I think that would have been cool. Maybe gave him some horns or something. This feels too similar to just a regular Dragonite, but the wings feel stupid. Why? I don't get where the angel wings came from and why they put them on his head. And it's just like, I don't know. Like I get that like being derpy is part of like what he is. And I like that they kept him derpy. But I think you could almost do like a serious derpy where you keep his face derpy, but you just give him like a serious expression. And then you make him like a dark blue, and you make his wings bigger. You add some like little details to his body, like the shoulder pads are kind of cool. You make his tail longer, you add the jewel, but I didn't vibe. Oh, what's going on there? Fix it. Cool, I fixed it. I did not vibe with the wings on his head. So this is a massive Mega Dragonite fan being very, very disappointed in the new Mega Dragonite Mega Evolution. So I don't know who greenlit this, and I really wish. Like, is it too late to change it? Is honestly my like general like consensus. Like, if it's not too late, can we please change this? It does look the same. I agree. It should have matured Dragonite more. Yeah. So that's my thing. Is it's too the same, and the wings on the head are stupid. And I think it was a big missed opportunity because Dratini's blue, Dragonair is blue. They go to orange. And I think if they had back to blue, or even went black, or just like a really, really dark blue, I think that was a huge opportunity. And it feels a little bit missed that they didn't do that. So those are my thoughts on Mega Dragonite. Thank you guys for like weighing in on Mega Dragonite with me. And Mega Charizard, Cat, to your point, Cat, Mega Charizard Y felt like they made enough changes that it was super cool that they just like just like him up. And then Mega Charizard X is like my favorite Mega Evolution of all time because blacking him out was just such a good idea. So Charizard fans win another one, and another L for Dragonite fans. They could change it like they did in the Sonic movie. I don't know. Maybe I'll clip this and maybe we can blow it up. Like if we can blow up anything, let's blow up every Mega Dragonite evolution rant that's on the internet until Pokemon is like they'll change it. But yeah, the original Sonic that they put out was so bad. I'm so glad they changed that. I'm so glad they heard the fandom and they changed that. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe Pokemon will do the same. But my hopes are low. My hopes are low. Okay. That's my thoughts on Mega Dragonite. We're going to dive into the Q&A portion here. So, Kat, Miracle No Whip, you guys have given me some questions. I'm going to answer those first. Then I have some questions from Instagram that I'm going to drop. And then if anybody else wants to drop some questions, feel free to. And once I've kind of made it through all of the questions for the question and answer portion, we shall call her a day here. So, Kat, how many apples did the Death God eat in anime? Sorry, I should do this a little more TikTok-y. Kat T asks, how many apples did the Death God eat in the anime Death Note? So, to be honest, I could Google this question, but I don't know. I've never been the type of person that just like focuses so much on an anime that I'm like counting things like that of like, oh, how many apples? I know there's some people that are like super into that where they're like, I got to get all the stats and they like focus on all of like the little details, but I've always just been somebody that like really immerses myself in the story. So watching Death Note, counting the apples that the Death God eat just definitely wasn't something I did. With that being said, do you know how many apples the Death God ate, Kat? If you do, feel free to let me know. But yeah, I'll definitely have to I would definitely just have to like Google that one. I won't just like make you guys watch me Google the answer to that one here. Hey, you were curious if apples are healthy. I don't like apples. I don't eat apples to be honest, but yes, they are packed with micronutrients. They have fiber in them. So, I think that's the idea of healthy foods versus unhealthy foods is a very interesting one, and I can kind of dive into that one. So, anyways, how the tables have turned. Yeah, I did the little flipsy backsy on that question for you. Okay. Gonna Miracle Whip asks, what made you want to powerlift? And Kat follows up that question with what motivates me. So, what made me want to powerlift is kind of an interesting one. A lot of backstory kind of goes into that. So, growing up, I was bullied a lot. I felt really lost. And I kind of found a little bit of a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose in my life through playing football. And I went on to play Division III college football. And I started lifting weights to get bigger and stronger for the position I played in football, which was defensive back. And I really fell in love with weights. And I think at a certain point, I kind of realized I liked lifting weights more than I actually liked playing football. And I just really fell in love with the process of getting bigger and stronger. And when I ended up kind of dropping out of college and I was done my football days, I had kind of known about the sport of powerlifting, and it had kind of got me into the idea of just starting to lift heavy. I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, but I kind of knew that I wanted to compete in the sport of powerlifting. So I started lifting heavy, and originally I actually kind of thought I wanted to also do the sport of bodybuilding. And I found out really, really fast that that wasn't for me. And I actually kind of started to develop a little bit of kind of unhealthy body dysmorphia from the bodybuilding stuff, and really starting to compete in powerlifting is kind of what helped me kind of get my mentals away from being so focused on how my body looked and transitioning to what my body was capable of. And that was really good for me mentally and really helped me overcome a lot of insecurities. So that has kept me powerlifting. And because powerlifting has done so much for my life, and this kind of ties into the question that you asked, Kat, of, what motivates me to keep powerlifting? It's kind of to inspire others. It's kind of to give back. It's to see how far I can push my body for me, but also to inspire others, because powerlifting has given me so much and helped me overcome so many insecurities and really do so much good for my life, that I want to be able to take powerlifting to a level where I get so good at it that I can inspire others to also get some of those own benefits for their own life through powerlifting, if that's what they're going to get it from. So that's what motivates me to kind of push powerlifting as far as I'm trying to push it. And that's what got me into powerlifting, is kind of through football. So those questions there. I don't like healthy foods these days. So here's the thing, Kat. Healthy foods and unhealthy foods don't really exist. There's just food. There's just food. And I think people really like to put the labels of healthy food and unhealthy food onto food. And I think it's a really bad thing. And people do it because people lack the knowledge to speak about food with specificity. So they put very basic labels on the idea of food. So what people are usually referring to with a healthy food is a food that is good for weight loss, which means that it is very filling, and you're going to feel full faster, so you're not going to gain as much weight from it. And B, it's going to be foods that are very packed in micronutrients. Micronutrients are very good for your immune system. You should have micronutrients. If you are eating a lack of micronutrient dense food, you should have a multivitamin. Having a multivitamin is going to cover most of your bases when it comes to micronutrients, and it is going to fix a lot of that. So let's just say you don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Have a multivitamin. Cool. That covers the micronutrient side of things. Now, on the filling side of things, not everybody needs to lose weight. Some people like me, I've been struggling to gain weight my entire life. And I don't think it's fair to just slap a label on you should be eating these healthy foods. It's trying to eat too many healthy foods has held me back from gaining good muscle weight in the past and being a healthier version of myself, because people have slapped those labels on foods. And I actually wrote an entire article on why I don't eat vegetables. And it's just I'm not one of those crazy carnivore people of only eat meat, bull testicles, whatever, right? I'm not the fucking liver king, right? I think vegetables are great. And if you enjoy eating vegetables and fruits, you should eat them. And I try to eat some fruits and vegetables when I feel like it, here and there, kind of thing. It's not like I'm totally against them, kind of thing. But I don't like the texture. I don't like the taste. And I just don't eat a ton of them. And I'm probably healthier than a lot of people that will tell you that you should eat a lot of them, right? And part of that just comes down to the knowledge of knowing what my body needs, and some people's bodies need different things. It's yeah, if you're trying to lose weight, eating a lot of fiber by just eating a gigantic bowl of lettuce can be a really helpful tool for that, right? And it's yeah, if you find yourself getting sick a lot, increasing your micronutrients by eating more fruits and vegetables can be a helpful tool. Or like I said, you could have a multivitamin, right? But there's no such thing as healthy foods or unhealthy foods. There's micronutrient dense foods and less micronutrient dense foods. And there's filling foods and unfilling foods. And people tend to use those to categorize foods into unhealthy and healthy foods. At the end of the day, all food is just energy. And depending on what your body needs for whatever goals you've set for yourself is going to determine what a healthy or unhealthy food is for you. I've been on a journey of meal prep and intermittent fasting. I don't eat while working. I gain weight faster than I thought. That's fair. And that's the thing is like some people lead very like sedentary lives. Like, for me, it's like I have a very high movement throughout the day because like I'm just like fidgety and I struggle to sit for a long period of time. Like this has actually kind of been hard on me. Like my hips are like, you need to move, you need to get up, you need to pace, right? It's like only been like an hour, right? So I find myself moving a lot through the day. But like if you're somebody that just like sits for 8 hours straight, you probably haven't expended a lot of calories. And you need to be a little bit more careful about how many calories you consume because you will gain weight a little bit faster. And in that regard, it's like, okay, yeah, like you definitely need to eat more fruits and vegetables. You need to get more protein. You need to eat more filling foods because that's going to be really helpful for you not getting to an unhealthy weight, right? And then on the other side of things, if you're somebody like me that like just can't stop moving, like I'm kind of like a little psychopath with how much I like to move. If I was to like eat a lot of those foods, I would really, really struggle with being underweight, and that would be unhealthy for me. So different goals, different lifestyles, different situations dictate what a healthy or unhealthy food is for you. And I think that the language around how people approach that can be very damaging. And I think that that conversation requires a lot of nuance when we talk about what's healthy versus unhealthy as far as food goes. So I hope that helps, Kat. I know you've kind of mentioned several times that that's something you've been struggling with. So hopefully that just adds a little bit of perspective of, trying to figure out what you need opposed to just allowing yourself to feel bad because it's like, oh, I'm not eating healthy. It's like, I don't eat healthy, but I'm healthier than a lot of people, right? And it just comes down to individual needs. And I think when you kind of approach it that way and you can identify what do I need to take care of my body, I think you can let go a lot of the guilt that comes with like associating like certain norms to just being blanket statements. So feel free to drop more questions in the chat, guys. I'm going to kind of dive into the questions that were left for me on Instagram here. So starting with favorite video game, my favorite video game of all time is Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem. It's kind of two games, but they're kind of tied together. But Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn for GameCube and Nintendo Switch. The story, immaculate. I really, 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 really love strategy games. So those work for me. Those are the games that really get my heart pumping. They're like really good throwback games. And there's a lot of strategy games that are very similar to them that I like a lot as well. But those are my favorite games of all time. What are your guys' favorite games? Drop your favorite games in the chat. So sounds good, Kat. What an interesting question to be left with. What do you think about steroids? Will you ever do them or recommend them? I will never do steroids. I would never recommend them, but I would also never judge somebody for doing steroids if that's, just what floats their goat. I like being a natural athlete, and one of my like biggest like inspirations in life is this guy named Joe Stockinger. If you've never heard of him, look him up. But at 89 years old, he deadlifted 440 pounds at 145 pounds body weight. And to me, that's just the coolest shit ever as like a lifetime natural athlete. And I think he kind of breaks the norm. I think we have this like big trend going around of like, I have low testosterone. Like, I think every dude just wants to have low testosterone because it's just an excuse to jump on steroids and like not have to work as hard to achieve certain things. And again, there's no like judgment for people that do decide to go that route. And I understand the appeal for many, but for me, I think there's a huge badge of honor of like, I decided to never take steroids in my life and look what I was able to achieve. And I think that those things are already starting to stack up, but I want to look back when I'm 90 years old and be like, I achieved things no other human thought was possible. And I did it without the use of performance enhancing drugs. So that's why I'll never use steroids. And I just think that people are capable of more than they think they're capable of without steroids. So in that regard, I think that I would like to see less people use steroids, even though I don't judge people for doing it. And that kind of goes into the not recommending it part. My beard is bearding today. I definitely need to do something about this. Favorite side character in anime and why? Side character in anime and why? So, two characters come to my mind. You guys feel free to answer these as well. Let me know if you guys have a favorite side character in anime. I love GameCube 2 Cap. Favorite side character in anime and why? Yeah, you guys feel free to drop your answers in as well. Favorite video games or favorite side character in anime and why? So the two that come to my mind, the first one is going to be Yuta Akotsu from JJK. Although I don't know if he really counts because he's kind of the main character in JJK 0. Yo, hey Max, welcome in. How are you today? We're talking anime and training. You're kind of just coming in for the Q&A portion. Feel free to drop some questions in the chat. But nice to see you. Long time. How's things been overseas? So Yuta Akotsuki is the first one that comes to mind, although I consider him a main character because he's the main character of JJK 0, but he does kind of go on to be the side character. But in my opinion, he overshadows the main character, and he's one of my favorite characters in JJK. And honestly, if it wasn't for Yuta, I probably wouldn't even like JJK. So he's a pretty big one. So that's the first one for me. And then the second one that comes to mind for me is Bakugo. And Bakugo's really interesting because when I first watched My Hero Academia, I hated Bakugo. I really, really hated Bakugo. We miss you too. Not that I was part of like the Calgary crew, but the Alberta crew. But yeah, definitely come back and visit. But I'm glad to hear you're doing well. It's been really cool seeing your progress and everything you're doing, and we miss you. We miss you over here. Come back and visit soon. And thank you for listening in. Have fun with your house chores. So Bakugo, when I started watching My Hero Academia, was like a hated character for me. And the reason I really like Bakugo is because of what I learned about myself through the character of Bakugo. So when I first started watching, Bakugo represented every bully I had in childhood growing up. And that's why I really, really hated Bakugo, because I really like resonated with the character of, Midoriya Deku. He's on my sweater right now. And when Bakugo started bullying Deku, I was like, fuck that guy. Like, I hate that character. And then as the story goes on, there's some redemption, but there's also some like peek behind the doors of like, hey, Bakugo hasn't had it super easy. And a lot of these life pressures led him to make these really poor actions of bullying Deku. And I think it kind of just like plays on the idea of like, it doesn't excuse the actions he did, but it kind of explains them. And that started to get me to think about my like own childhood and like all the bullies I had. It's like, man, like a lot of them came from rough homes. A lot of them had all of these like really hard things going on when I look back at it. And that doesn't excuse the bullying that was done to me, but it helps me understand it a little bit more. And it just kind of helps me like put it to bed. And that has been like really, really healing for me. Hey, welcome in, Dan Phantom. How are you? We're in the Q&A portion. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat. So that is why I really, really, really like the character of Bakugo, is because of what that character has meant for me, being able to forgive my bullies, not necessarily for them, but for my own healing. So those are my two favorite side characters of Yuta Okotsuku and Bakugo. I'm good. Thanks, Dan. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. We're answering questions. I got 3 more questions here from Instagram to go over. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to kind of drop them in the chat. And yeah, we'll kind of go through those there. So, who's your favorite out of the big 3 in anime? What is the big 3 in anime? I feel like the big 3 in anime is probably Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, and Bleach, right? Am I? No. Naruto, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Z. That's the big 3, right? I don't. There's so many big 3s. I feel like the big 3 is like there's the new big 3. There's the old big 3. There's this and that big 3. We'll go with Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, and Naruto being the big 3, just for the sake of answering this question. But I think you could argue a lot of different big 3s. So out of those big 3, Naruto is my favorite. Thank you for subbing, Dan. I really appreciate that. Thank you for coming in. I do anime reactions once every 2 weeks, and I'm going to start doing these lives once every 2 weeks. This is the first one, so feel free to come hang out for these lives. Feel free to check out my other stuff, and if you have any requests of things you want to see me react to, feel free to let me know. I really appreciate the sub. I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate you coming in. So Naruto is my favorite of that big 3. Dragon Ball Z, to me, it was really fun growing up as a kid. I really value the nostalgia to it. I think just in modern days time, trying to rewatch it, the story is just very bland. The pacing isn't super great, and it just doesn't hit the same trying to rewatch it, but it'll always hold a special place in my heart because of like what Dragon Ball Z meant to me as a kid. But Naruto also meant a lot to me as a kid, but I feel like despite there being a lot of filler, the pacing is still better. The story is still better. I think Naruto still holds up a little bit better today. And then One Piece, if I'm just being honest, guys, I've always wanted to like One Piece. I have never been able to get into One Piece. It's just been like that thing that's always haunted me. If I've tried so many times to get into One Piece, I've just never been able to do it just because the beginning stuff is like so poorly paced. I've thought about doing One Piece. Maybe eventually one day I'll do the One Piece and maybe that'll kind of help. But then I would feel like not a true One Piece fan. So it's like really hard to put that over Naruto or Dragon Ball Z if I have to watch like the One Piece to just like get through it. I think that One Piece has this really incredible opportunity with I've heard that they're going to remake the anime with better pacing, and I think that could solidify it as the best anime of all time if that is really well executed with better animation and better pacing of the earlier pieces of One Piece and getting new people into One Piece. I think that could be big for One Piece, but as it stands right now, that hasn't happened. One Piece hasn't pulled me in, to say the least. So it right now, out of the big 3, if we're assuming that is the big 3, then I'm gonna say Naruto. But if you guys have a different opinion on what the big 3 should be, let me know. Drop your big 3 in the chat, and I'll give you my favorite out of those big 3 if you want. So, fitness question: what are your thoughts on long length partials? I think partials is kind of an interesting thing. what animes do you recommend I should watch? Well, if you fast forward to the beginning of this list, I do some like anime reviews. Feel free to go check those out, and I think that'll give you some good ideas. But I am going to fire you off 5 really quick here that I reviewed today. Gacha Yakuta, To Be Hero X, Takapi's Original Sin, Dandadan, and Kaiju number 8 are all coming out right now, and they are all phenomenal. This is a great season for anime, and I recommend you watch all 5 of those if you have not watched them already. So drop those off. So long length partials, Akame ga Kill. Akame ga Kill is good. Fruit Basket. I've never watched Fruit Basket. I've heard good things about it. I've tried to watch it once or twice. Haven't really got into it. So long length partials. I'm not a bodybuilding coach. I feel like the lengthened partials are definitely something that a lot of like bodybuilding people are really getting into. Anybody that trains here, let me know your thoughts on long length partials. My thoughts on them are just like, they're probably a pretty good tool. I don't know if they're like a super necessary tool outside of like the very extremes of bodybuilding. There might be some like physio applications I'm not aware of for long length partials. I think they maybe have a little bit of application for people really struggling with hypertrophy in the powerlifting space, but I feel like, you probably can get away with no long length partials in powerlifting, and probably the general public kind of like health training they're also probably unnecessary for, but they're a tool to put in the toolkit, and I think they definitely have their purposes. When I started watching anime, mine were Cowboy Bebop, Bleach, Inuyasha, and Naruto. Interesting. Okay, I like that. So Cowboy Bebop, I've never really got into. I've always wanted to get into it. The voice actor that voices Spike, and he used to be I forget what his name was, but the guy that was like the face of Toonami, he voiced him as well. He's probably one of my favorite voice actors of all time, but I've never been able to get into Cowboy Bebop. Bleach, I've also never been able to get into. Inuyasha and Naruto were like childhood favorites of mine. I would still give it to Naruto over Inuyasha, but Inuyasha is very, very good. Gotta go. Yeah, thank you for coming in, Kat. Appreciate you hanging out. We're getting pretty close to wrapping up here, so but really appreciate you hanging out, Kat. Appreciate you chatting. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Naruto, Attack on Titan, Full Metal Alchemist was your big three early on. Okay. Attack on Titan, I feel like, is a little bit of a newer one. I really like Attack on Titan. To be honest, I didn't super get into Attack on Titan until they started final season part 1. And then the animation, I think Mappa took it over. The animation got a lot better. I think the storytelling, it got a lot more intriguing to me. There's more like big Titan fights and stuff like that. I'm pretty mid on Attack on Titan, if I'm just being honest, though. It pissed me off how they did like a final season part 1, and then like a year later final season part 2, and then like final season movies part 1, 2, 3. It's like the final season took like 4 or 5 fucking years. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. So I hopefully I have this marked as right. Not friendly for kids. So Attack on Titan's good. The musical score on Attack on Titan, phenomenal. But I'm pretty mid on Attack on Titan. Naruto's phenomenal. Full Metal Alchemist is kind of a masterpiece. I might have to give it to Full Metal Alchemist over Naruto. However, I still think Naruto takes the cake there. And yeah, so yeah, only season 1 was out when you were out. You liked it before season 3. Interesting. I was kind of the opposite. I liked it better like after season 3. Okay, so feel free to drop more questions into the chat here, guys, if you have any others. But I'm going to be answering kind of the last Instagram question here. So who wins, Satoru Gojo or Makima? So Makima is from Chainsaw Man. So part of this kind of comes down to I don't know a lot of Makima, because I'm anime only. I haven't read the Chainsaw Man manga. I've heard that in the manga, she gets super powerful and broken. I just don't know what that looks like, so I would have to give it to Gojo because I've seen him being very OP in the anime. Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very good. Very, very good. Big Yu-Gi-Oh! Card collector as a kid. So, okay, guys. Well, that kind of wraps up my questions. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this live stream. We've been going for just about an hour and a half, but I appreciate every single one of you guys that popped in to do a support. And whether you just listened for a while, whether you said hello. This is my first live stream, and it went much better than my first attempt at a live stream yesterday, where I just got the spinning circle for 5 minutes straight saying going live. I was like, hyperventilated. And then I wanted to cry. And then I went to, and then I unplugged my camera. And then it all of a sudden went live. I was like in tears. And it's like, everybody's like, yeah, do your live stream now. I'm like, I'm not doing my live stream now. So I'm glad today went much better. I appreciate all of you guys chatting with me, hanging out with me. It really made this a ton of fun. I will be doing this again in 2 weeks. So next Saturday will be the release of my reaction to My Hero Academia Vigilantes. It's going to be my first reaction to the series. So if you guys can please tune into that, I'll be doing a premiere. If you can't make the premiere and you guys can watch it after, I would really appreciate it. I'm really excited. My Hero Academia is my favorite franchise. I really like My Hero Academia. It's like a top 5 anime for me, and at certain points it'd be like a number 1 for me. And My Hero Academia Vigilantes is also a very phenomenal anime series, and I am really excited to be reacting to it, and I hope the reaction series does really well. So I'd appreciate any and all support for people that could tune into that next week. And I think it's a really fun, kind of well done reaction, and I'm slowly getting better at the reactions. And then the Saturday after that, I will be back with another live. So if you guys are available, please come hang out. But thank you guys for coming. Until next time, guys. Peace out.